How's it going, YouTube? Seth Estrada here, and coming back to something that is a little more slice of life. I know I promised that I'd do something that was more tactical regarding masternodes, regarding new coin projects, and we're getting there. I don't dare say soon TM, because that is it's a phrase, it's a refrain that a lot of our community has come to dislike. It's just, that's crypto, right? Where it's like, hurry up and wait. So why don't we do this? Good to see it is evening somewhere, just not here. Here it is just past noon. Already had a little bit of lunch, but I kind of feel like I need a little something more to sit at the desk and get more work done. Focusing on some of the e-com stuff, shop.mineyour.biz. As you know, we've got all kinds of stuff going on. You can't really see it from this side, but from this side you can. So we've got all kinds of stuff coming up. We're working on new iterations of Big Baby. We're shipping out Big Baby for several of the current buyers, which is still a pretty awesome deal for anybody who wants to just do blockchain work with their GPUs, your existing infrastructure, your GPUs. So I'm working on that kind of stuff here in the office today, and then also lining up the coin projects for our Friday stand-up meeting, possibly working with projects that I've already worked with before, possibly bringing on new projects. I'm not really certain yet. So we'll be putting together some kind of a voting apparatus, right? Straw poll, or maybe we'll open up a new sub-channel in the Discord server to help community have their voices be heard. Now, there's so many coin projects, and as you know, a lot of coin projects have reached out to me to ask for free publicity because with the sort of crypto downturn, oh, hey, well, Catfish, thank you for saying hello. I know it's kind of challenging right now if your phone is on low battery, but as you guys know, with the sort of crypto downturn, with prices, the market being really low, a lot of coin projects reach out and they try to figure out how to get their developer or their community budget, their governance fund to stretch a little farther. And so they're looking for any free publicity they can get, and they know, they've heard, they've seen my interviews where I don't charge developers any kind of a bounty or a fee to appear in interviews with me. And that's a hard line, right? With developers, there's so many different kinds of developers, right? But especially in open source, there are a lot of unpaid contributors and developers. And so I feel really strongly about that. I don't think that charging these developers is the right way to go. And that's a very hard line for me. I don't know. Maybe it's because I also have a couple of brothers who are full stack devs, one of whom maintains a very popular open source repo. And so I know the amount of work that goes into maintaining some of this stuff. I've done localization for one popular repo that I sort of inherited from another project, not related to crypto. And so I've got some empathy for how much work it really takes to get that stuff done, to get projects done when you're working sort of out of the goodness of your heart. Now, in the case of crypto, of course, there are developer funds, right? There's sometimes a pre-mine that is kept in the developer fund. There's sometimes a regular block reward that goes to the developer fund. And I get that it's a little bit different in crypto, but I still feel strongly about maintaining the interests of developers who are the people on the forefront of this technology making stuff happen. I hope that makes sense, right? Like, I hope that explains a little more why I offer that to developers, and specifically to developers, not so much to community managers, not so much to advisors or other sides of the team. I'm kind of having to scale back the amount of attention that I give to some of these other sides of the team. I see in the comments Terry B saying hello. Thank you for saying hi, man. Appreciate it. And so yeah, that's why I offer those kinds of interviews to developers, and the rest of the team. Like, I'd prefer to mostly talk to the developers to be able to have difficult questions answered by that the community has answered by the development team, so that they can kind of stand accountable to, like, we made this choice for this reason. Or maybe they weren't part of the steering committee, right? Maybe they weren't part of the executive team that made those decisions, but the developers at least can convey some of the difficulties that they had to go through in order to, say, do a fork merge, right? With Loki, Simon he's technical enough, and I know he's got his hands wrapping his arms around the problems that they're solving enough that he can explain very eloquently, but also at a low level, the technologies they're using, the frameworks that they're having to navigate or implement, and then some of the technical hurdles that they're having to overcome in order to make stuff happen. Yeah, and Terry B brings up a really great comment saying that developers, they're not as prone to just turn the conversation, not so subtly, by the way, into a sales pitch. Yankee, thanks for saying hello in the comments. Appreciate you being here, brother. So let's get back to the serious stuff, the important things. Now, here in the United States, we don't do tea per se. So so this is a little bit clickbaity. The title of this video, saying that I'm preparing a proper cuppa, whatever, like a decent cuppa. We don't even say that here in the United States. We pretty much just say like, hey, you want something to drink? Yes. What do you want? And if it happens to be some kind of a brewed drink, like an herbal tea, which for me, got a sinus thing going on, and nothing helps quite as much as just being able to hold some kind of a warm cup of herbal tea, smell the vapors, kind of like drink something warm and loosen up all the soft palate and everything else that's kind of attached to where I might have some congestion. That for me is kind of therapeutic, and I like herbal teas, right? They're tasty. So why not? That's what I'm drinking. Yankee says he likes vapors. We get it. You vape. Oh, jeez. I don't have my soundboard. Otherwise, I'd be giving you a womp womp right now. Okay, so just saying. Doesn't matter that it's a vape pen. The temperature of that stuff can still mess up your lungs, man. Popcorn lung. It's a thing. Look it up. I didn't just make that thing up. So first off, I'm going to grab a nice cup right here. This is going to be where I finally mix my mixture. And I'm going to put in my sweetener first. Right, there's a reason that I do this, and I use 2 different cups. And I wouldn't normally use this, but it's what's available. I don't really like Splenda. Let me tell you a story about Splenda. When it was going through, and this is not professional advice. This is the story as I heard it, or as I've had it related to me, or that Splenda, or essentially sucralose, right? This is the actual substance that Splenda is made of. Sucralose, when it was going through its initial approvals by the FDA, apparently they used one kind of manufacturing process that was not too bad. Yeah, Jim C says, no sugar, black, bro. Well, joke's on you, Jim C. It's not black, it's green. So I'll get to that in a minute. But first I'm going to put the sweetener in the cup. And again, back to that story. Splenda, apparently, sucralose, when it was first going under review by the FDA, it was being manufactured using a certain process that they found generally regarded as safe and was totally fine. But then when they got the approvals, it wasn't changed too much from what the FDA observed. However, it does have an extra step that requires methylation of the entire production line. In terms of human digestive system, methylation equals bad. We don't like this. We don't want this. Our stomachs don't like it. And actually, the flora of our intestinal tract doesn't react well to methylation, rather. So Splenda, if you ever drink a lot of Splenda or eat a lot of Splenda and you feel like got kind of a slightly upset stomach, it could be because it's stripping some of the good bacteria of from your system, potentially. Again, this is not like, I'm not a dietitian. I'm not going to pretend to be able to diagnose anything. I'm not your doctor. But that's the story as I've heard it. And that's been my experience with some kinds of preparations of Splenda. Not my favorite, but I'm using it today because it's available. So I'm just going to put that in my cup right now. So it is ready. Now I've got a bed of sweetener so that when I'm done brewing the tea, I'm just going to pour it in and it kind of mixes itself as I go. Oh yeah, catfish? Sugar? No, I'm not big on sugar. If anything, if I am going to use any kind of a calorie loaded sweetener, I like to use honey, and at that, I like to use locally sourced honey. And the reason I use locally sourced honey, when I was much younger, I never experienced any kind of allergies or anything. Something about turning 30 and living in Central Texas where there's really high atmospheric mold, I found that eating local honey, it helped me to deal with some of those allergies a little bit better. I didn't notice the symptoms as strongly. I'd heard somebody say that local bees, they're able to pick pollen from some of the major allergens. And the way that they process it and turn it into honey, apparently they pass along some of their immune ability. And, because we've evolved to consume honey and we've evolved to groom bees to take that product from them, apparently, it kind of made sense to me logically. I've tried it. It kind of helps. So if I'm going to put anything into honey or into tea, it's usually locally sourced, fairly raw honey or mostly raw honey. So it doesn't strip any of the stuff that the local bees have been able to pull from local plants. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too much. In a perfect world, I would do titanium green tea. I would put a bit of that local, mostly raw honey into here, and then I would put a tiny bit of raw coconut oil, just a tiny bit. It's like that bulletproof coffee that people drink, where it's the clarified butter or it's the intense butter. So it's got a little more calorie heavy, and it turns it into kind of like more of a snack than it is just like a drink. So it's got some coconut oil, got some organic raw honey. Actually tastes really good. And then the way I'm going to show you to steep this tea, the way I like it, it doesn't make it bitter. That's the important thing. It's an herbal tea, so why would you drink an herbal tea bitter? That's just gross. So, hey, Catfish, I really appreciate that. Catfish says, that's a proper drink you just described. I like it. I think it's great. As a good snack, gives me sustained kind of fuel. And I mean, if you guys have seen me with my shirt off, and I know that you have, you know I'm careful about what I put into my stomach, careful about what I actually eat, because the real battle is not in the gym, it's in the kitchen. So prepare some tea in here. And I don't have a spoon because I'm kind of limited with what's available here at the office. I could probably bring some more preparation. I could bring an infuser ball or something, and like you would normally steep tea with. But I mentioned herbal teas. I'm becoming partial to various varieties of green tea, right? Which is by definition an herbal tea. It hasn't been fermented in any way. It hasn't been tanned in any way, and I'm finding that I'm especially partial to gunpowder green. A gunpowder green, I'll give you kind of a look at this. Green is regular green tea, but it's rolled. It's kind of rolled into a ball as it's dried. And so it preserves more of the nature of each one of the tea leaves. I really like it a lot. Anyway, so gunpowder green tea with a little bit of honey. And, well, hey, it's yeah, like you were mentioning, gosh, was that... So Mossy's saying it's the same brand and style you buy. Yeah, Davidson's is you can buy in bulk. As you see, it's a pound. If you can do $10 a pound for bulk herbs, you're doing great. Generally speaking, here in the United States, $10 a pound shipped on Amazon. So why not, right? That said, same is true generally of protein powders as well. Refined protein powders, if you can do about it at $10 per pound, you're not doing too bad. If you can do better than that, it's better. So I'm going to take just a tiny bit. It really doesn't take much here. I think sometimes with different tea bags, we take too much. So just to kind of give you an idea, I'm using a fork right there to sift it, so I have larger chunks. There's a reason for that. You'll see why in a minute. I'm not using an infuser ball, so I don't really have great options for straining this later on, but you'll see. So I'm taking just a tiny bit right there. That's what, maybe a half teaspoon, possibly as little as a quarter. And I'm dropping it right into here. Again, it's kind of a kludge. People who enjoy preparing tea correctly are going to be cringing and what are you doing? I'm making do with what I have. That's what I'm doing. I want a good cup of green tea, and I've got to adapt and overcome, right? I've got to just make it work with what I've got. So, and thankfully, we've already got hot water right here, so I'm not going to reheat it. Now that said, would I use the microwave to just heat the water? Yeah, absolutely. Would I heat the leaves in the microwave with the water? No. No, I wouldn't. And here's why. Microwave radiation is inherently not dangerous to water. But after microwave radiation was discovered to be a good way to heat water, well, that was exactly the point. It was discovered to be a great way to heat water only. So that was interesting. So it accelerates the water molecule. That's what microwave radiation does. In essence, that's why stuff heats up when it's microwaved. If you ever put something that's particularly dry into a microwave, you'll notice that it doesn't heat up. It doesn't heat up as effectively. And so say like a tortilla, right? A flour tortilla. If you ever put a flour tortilla into the microwave, it doesn't heat up very evenly or very well. Sprinkle it with just a tiny bit of water, heats up great because the microwave radiation accelerates the water molecule and heats it up. So as this is steeping in the microwave, yeah, no, not making moonshine. Not today. Not today. We might make some kind of a reactor to create some kind of a biofuel. Maybe in another episode, maybe on a separate channel. But we can do some really fun science experiments another time. But if you ever see me steeping, like if you ever see me making alcohol, it's more likely to be used as some kind of like rocket fuel or alternative fuel for some kind of car or go-kart or something. Far less likely that you'll ever see me drinking anything that I've distilled. So with this though, the reason I don't want to put the leaves in the microwave is because it's hard for me to tell when they've steeped. I could have it in the microwave for a full 2 or 3 minutes, just heating up correctly, depending on what heat level I have it at. So it's hard for me to tell when it's steeped. With green tea, it's very tender. So I don't want to have the microwave radiation heating the water molecules that are just seeping into the leaf itself. It's a lot less predictable how it's steeping. I want to be very gentle with these leaves. I don't want to crush them. I don't want to mess them up. I don't want this to be bitter. In essence, that's the bottom line. I just don't want to have a bitter, nasty tasting herbal tea. Like, it's herbal tea. Why would I drink it bitter? So at this point, I very gently agitate those leaves. And it's only because I want them to unroll and I want them to start to steep correctly, right? They were rolled into little pellets, right? Like gunpowder grains. I think old school gunpowder, right? Or like what you might see loaded into cannon in days of yore. So I just kind of agitate these gently, but I don't crush them. I don't press them against the sides of this container that I'm steeping it into. And obviously it's a Pyrex. It's made for this. It's made for me to steep stuff in and then decoct back and forth if I wanted to. But I'm just going to use this fork right here as a strainer, as a sort of impromptu strainer. Catfish saying, nobody wants to talk about the market, right? Let me put it this way. We could go live later on today on Twitch and talk about the market, but I'm not going to do an armchair analysis from my phone if I don't have live charts in front of me. What I will also say, and you guys have heard me go on record as saying it before, is if you have accounts receivable right now and your client is willing to pay in crypto, get that money, because we may be at a very good equilibrium point where if you can hold for a while in those receivables, then you might be just fine at the end of the year. And you might be even better in January or Q1 of next year, right? So not a terrible strategy to get your hands on crypto some other way outside of mining. Mining profits are, none of us are very happy about that right now. But in particular, okay, so I'm kind of straining this carefully. Could tilt this down if you guys want to see a little more, but it's me just pouring some liquid from one container to another. It's really not that special. But if I close my eyes and you just listen to it, it sounds interesting. Just kidding. There we go. Okay. And now you have the dredge, and notice obviously when it expands, that's quite a bit. It's really quite a bit. Especially, what is this? Oh dear. Yeah. So at this point, got a good cuppa. I'm ready to go back to my workstation. I'm going to finish up a couple things, guys. Those who know, those who are part of the Mind Your Biz community and are benefiting from the actual community, as opposed to making armchair comments like blah, blah, blah. You guys know that I'm working on some training material, and that should benefit. Yeah. That should benefit the community in terms of being able to admin small, mid-scale, and then large-scale mines soon. Not soon TM, like next 48 hours or so. So look for that. But Yankee, I appreciate what you're saying as far as the kids not wanting to eat whatever, pork and beans, canned beans forever while we wait for the market to turn around. I get it. Yeah, we don't want to see our crypto mining profits, hard-earned crypto mining profits, flushed down the toilet. So without giving any kind of like advice, right? So trading advice, what I will ask guys is, do you have a trading strategy? Because if you do, it's a great time to implement it. We noticed somebody in the Mind Your Biz community who mentioned that on one of their crypto trading pairs, they did quite well the other day. And here we go. So now, got a great little cup of green tea. I'm ready to bring this back over to the office, sit down, finish orders, and then get back to the stuff that really matters, like you're saying, market commentary. Because commenting on it will definitely change it. Hey, DJ Dave, how are you? Good to see you in the comments. Thanks for saying hello. Yeah, right, buy red, sell green. Is it rocket science? No. Could you get wrecked? Yes, you could get wrecked. So guys, that's why I don't give the advice, right? Like I don't give the advice here. What I will say is that if you're comfortable with certain trading pairs, or if you're comfortable with certain exchanges right now, if you know that what you've been mining, for example, maybe has good daily volume against a pair that you're comfortable trading against or trading with, then we've had a couple of community members say that recently, in recent days, they've been able to grow their bag of Ethereum, even though Ethereum itself isn't doing so great in terms of its USD value. So I'm not going to tell you what to trade. I'm not going to tell you where to trade. I'm not going to tell you how to trade. But what I will say is if you have an inclination to trade, follow your gut. Follow your gut. And oh my gosh, Mossy says that holding my tube and chill are on my Tinder profile. What will people think when they know that you're holding your tube, Mossy? What does that mean exactly? But as you guys know, there are so many exchanges that aren't a scam. There's so many coins that aren't a scam that have leadership that really does intend to deliver. So I'm messing with you, Mossy. I knew you meant BitTube. I knew you meant BitTube. I'm down with the BitTube. I like it. I think it's been a really great platform. I think it's got good leadership. I think it's got good direction. I think the fact that it has a native currency is like gravy. I think the fact that TubeCoin exists is kind of gravy. So they've got a real business model. They've got a real product that provides real value to real world third parties that objectively find value from it. See where I'm going? This is a common thread for me in terms of talking about crypto mining and crypto in general and providing value to objective third parties. And by objective third parties, let me narrow that down even more. Let's really get granular here. Grandma thinks BitTube is cool. Grandma doesn't need to know how it works. She doesn't care how it works. She doesn't care about blockchain. But grandma can go to BitTube and she can find content on cooking because there are already cooking shows on BitTube. She can find content on trading. She can find content on dealing with collectibles. She's got an old bottle cap collection that she got from grandpa before he passed away, and it's still dear to her heart. She can find that on BitTube. That is intrinsic value that's not related to the strength of the blockchain technology that powers it all, right? We need intrinsic value in these products. We need to provide intrinsic value to objective third parties, people who don't give a crap about crypto. They don't give a crap about the price of Bitcoin. We do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am passionate about that as well. But our buyer profile does not, right? Necrobus, I will talk about your grandma. I will talk about your grandma. I'll talk about my grandma. I'll talk about Phil's grandma. I'll talk about whoever's grandma I darn well please, because you know what? They all need to like this stuff. They do. But we can't sell blockchain to anybody's grandma, right? However, what I will say is it is your job to educate your grandma. I'll talk about the need to educate your grandma, but I'm not going to educate your grandma for you. That's your job. It's my job to educate my grandma. It's everyone's job to educate their own grandma, but I think we need to agree. Would grandma find value from this? Would she find value from this platform? Let's say, for example, this is totally random. What if we had a really great blockchain calendaring application? What if we had really great blockchain project management software, a la Trello, right? Hey, Reynaldo, good to see you in the comments. Thanks for saying hello. What if we had really great, finance software? Right? Yeah, what if we had really great blockchain-based finance software? And it's not even that we necessarily have to have distributed ledgers that are immutable, right? We can have auditable and editable blockchain technology out there and distributed ledgers as well. And we can create processes by which it's okay to edit some of these blockchains. Not every blockchain has to be immutable. Some should be. Not everyone has to be. So if we can agree that that's okay for certain applications, now what does that open up the world of blockchain to doing? What problems does it open it up to solving? Right? So blockchain didn't make this great cup of tea. I did. Is there a platform that'll help me in some way solve this problem? Supply chain logistics, for example. Something. Guys, we have to think about the daily practical applications of all the tech that we're talking about building, this whole brave new world of crypto that we're so eager to see come. 2 questions. So what? And who cares? So what's the big problem it's solving, and for whom? And I talk about grandma because, frankly, grandma is the largest, air quotes, grandma, that is to say, people over the age of 55 through retirement age and into the twilight years of life who do have discretionary income and do want convenience. And they don't need to be made to feel dumb because they don't understand blockchain the way that we do. Blockchain could still help them, and it can be provably fair because it does use distributed ledger technology that's auditable, right? That's publicly viewable. So like Yankee says, normies, take for granted that over a certain age, that anybody who does, like, they can grok blockchain and they get it and they like it, they might be an outlier. They might be very much just on the fringe, right? So yeah, and Eric, I really appreciate the way you say that. So Eric Dobkin mentions there's a difference between finding a problem, air quotes, where there isn't one, and actually solving genuine problems. Not an easy question to answer. I agree with you. I've been through a lot of tech startup pitches and pitch sessions and peer pitch reviews where that's the biggest problem. There's no real market validation. There's no real product market fit. And so the hard work hasn't been done of validating your assumptions as to, am I really solving a problem? Or do I have a solution looking for a problem? Like, everybody needs this video game technology. Well, guess what they built instead? They built Slack, which was their internal messaging system. Not terrible, but that was the only problem they really solved. By the time they ran out of money and ran out of runway, it had to start selling whatever the product they were working on. The team that built Slack, they did not set out to build Slack. Cool Whip, same thing, not consumer products. With Cool Whip, the inventor of Cool Whip was entirely focused on something else. They were focused on consumer packaging. So they were working with synthetic materials to try to create a quick drying consumer packaging. They got about halfway, realized they could still pass FDA standards, and it was safe for human consumption based on the materials they were using so far, and they created a synthetic whipped cream. Cool Whip. The stuff is everywhere still. It's never going to go away. It's probably got a shelf life of 1,000,000 years per container. I can't imagine why people put that crap in their bodies. But the person who invented it, like you said, they finally discovered that, like, I am solving a problem. I'm solving a real problem that people actually have. Instead of just thinking like, no, people need easier packaging material. They want to be able to pour this into this box and fill in the cracks, whatever else. It's like, no, people are lazy. They don't want to take out egg beaters and whip cream to put on a piece of pumpkin pie or on top of a cup of chocolate milk or cocoa. So totally agree. It takes work. It takes real thought. So Philip is asking, how does it create revenue is the big question. I ask now before I invest. If you're asking about BitTube, as far as it creating revenue, so there is an internal revenue model. So it is the native currency to pay for services internally. They are debuting some other features like premium videos. So locking your videos behind a paywall, or creating a membership fee for a given channel. I believe these are both functionalities that Saber and his team are working on. That's the other thing, guys. I interviewed Saber, and the guy is super serious. He's like so many other founders so many other legit founders. Hey, T-Bone, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Here's to you, sir. Thank you for that super chat. T-Bone is saying, for a cup of crypto coffee. And to you, I say thank you. And the guys, this one's on T-Bone. Appreciate it. And Roderick, hello. Thank you for saying hi in the comments. And Necrobus, you're saying, unless she's dead. Joke's on you. Both of my grandmas are dead. So I'm always talking metaphorically. And Catfish is saying a lot of work needs to be done on the BitTube platform. I agree. Guys, I agree. Here's the thing. Without early adopters, the work doesn't get done. I really appreciate the BitTube community or the BitTube leadership community. They called me out on, what was it, on Instagram. I totally forgot the name because I never use it anymore. But they called me out on Instagram as being the first exclusive provider of content, like the first ever BitTube exclusive video I contributed. I don't think it was a big deal. To me, it was not hard to make, but it was a big milestone for their team, and I really appreciate that. And like Catfish is saying, it's a working product, and that's where I agree with you. It works today, and it works as described. They have roadmapped items that they want to get to, but even if they never got to them, it works as described today, and it does solve a problem today. I'm not inclined to use, naughty language or whatever, or talk about things that are overly controversial. But if I wanted to, I could on BitTube, and my videos wouldn't be taken down because it's my original content. They're my original thoughts. I didn't steal the copyright from somewhere else. I'm commenting on ideas, of course, that are not original. Nobody has an original thought in their heads. No one. Almost no one has an original idea in their heads. Sorry, newsflash. We're all regurgitating ideas that we've been fed over the last 5-10 years of our lives. And then we think we're looking forward to the next big trend in technology. Nope. Those ideas want to be free. There are 15 other people who are having the exact same thoughts that we're having right now. So I know, bummer, but that's the reality of the world we live in. But if I wanted to talk about whatever, I could. And that's just that AZ, I think that new ideas, for all practical intents and purposes, original ideas come from collective discourse. They don't just come from one person's head. So Elon Musk and the idea to create that little torpedo-shaped submarine for the rescue, not his idea. That was his press release, his Twitter vomit, but not his original idea. He's built on engineering thoughts that have been fed to him by everybody he ever learned from. The motors inside of the Tesla cars, not new. In fact, the first generation of automobiles used a battery. They weren't gas powered. So we've been working with electric vehicles since day one. Tesla is sort of an inevitable iteration of technology. And if we start doing a lot more of a focus on just innovation, tech startups, entrepreneurship, inventing, then you're going to hear me use that phrase a lot, an inevitable iteration of technology. Some things are just going to happen. They're just going to happen. Whether it comes from your mouth or my mouth or Elon Musk's mouth or Neil deGrasse Tyson's mouth or name your favorite TV scientist. Whether it comes from their mouth or somebody who's completely random, Richard Stallman, right? Somebody who doesn't own a cell phone. If it comes from their mouth, kind of doesn't matter. We're a product of our time in large part. We would not have had these ideas had we been born 50 years ago. Highly unlikely. The Nikola Teslas are so rare. They are so incredibly rare. Most of what we see coming out of consumer tech and even defense tech are inevitable iterations. They just build on what came before. They are iterative. They're not transformative in many cases. So anyway, yeah, like Eric Dobkin is saying, totally inappropriate phrase. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We totally do. All of us. And especially the people who are most visible and who say things like, wow, well, imagine this, and Apple products in particular. In our Discord server, you guys saw me vehemently say, like, I'm not super fond of Apple products. Do they innovate? Yes, kind of, sort of. It's complicated, right? It's complicated. But frankly, they don't innovate as much as people give them credit for innovating. Because they also have this brilliant hype machine that was fueled by Steve Jobs in a reality distortion field that is larger than life. None of their products are as innovative as many people think they are. They are innovative. They're good products. If they weren't good products, people wouldn't use them at all. But they're not always category leading for certain features or for certain functions. There are some other phones and there are some other devices that are better for certain use cases, for many use cases, actually for most consumer use cases. So they're really not even the best in the consumer space. Anyway, I digress. Talking about innovation, talking about technology, talking about invention and entrepreneurship. Yeah, there's so much that we're empowered to do. Oh my gosh! In today's world of manufacturing, today's world of cheap and low run manufacturing, where you can make 10 of something as opposed to being required to pony up the cash to make 10,000 of something. Unreal. Additive manufacturing, 3D printing, all the rest, being able to do rapid prototyping from the privacy of your own home, or going over to a makerspace and having these makerspaces basically have everything. I've got a makerspace here. Unreal. The owner, I don't want to go on record as talking about the owner or the name of the location, but we're super close. I've been approved for all of their heavy machinery, right? And so homeboy's just giving me a key. I can go in 24/7 and I can use like everything from lathe, chop saw, water jet, whatever. I'm okay to use all of it. But what I could make there is mind-boggling. What I could make there in a day is mind-blowing. And 20 years ago, makerspaces like this didn't exist. You couldn't just go somewhere and have them, give you free access to all these tools. Let alone this particular makerspace. They got miles upon miles of plastic extrusion for the 3D printer. I could 3D print my desk. There's so much plastic extrusion lying around. I could recreate my desk and my computer, like a fake shell of them, by 3D printing all little puzzle pieces and sticking them together. If I really felt like it, I've got all those materials there. It's a brilliant world that we live in. And I know that I'm particularly fortunate and blessed to have that resource in my kind of like accessible to me. But I just mean to say, like, these makerspaces exist in today's world. They couldn't have existed 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So it's just amazing, guys. It's amazing. So we live in a world where, like, we could all be a lot more innovative. All of us. We could all, if we felt like it, we could all be entrepreneurs and inventors in our own right. If any of us had an original idea in our head. Very few of us do. That's all I'm going to say about that, guys. Very few of us have an original idea in our heads. Not an insult, just an observation of fact. So you see me pushing the power of community and the conversations that we have inside of Mind Your Biz. Guys, here's my shameless plug for the server, the Discord server. We make each other better by the level of discourse that we have in that server. We make the world better by helping each other think better thoughts and hopefully turning the conversation towards an original thought. And all of us be fortunate, very fortunate, and very blessed to be part of conversations that help raise our sights, right, towards something that help us synthesize maybe the next iteration of technology. Because in my mind, it's inevitable. Whatever's coming next is inevitable. The question is, who will be the vocal piece to announce it, right, to herald it? It's not that you'll be the first person to think about it. You will not be the first person to think about it. But if you can put your name on the patent, you'll just be the first person to herald it, right? Or if you're the first person to lead a community or lead a development group to build it, you will not have been the first person to think about it. You'll just be the first person to have executed it. So that's why execution matters so much, right? But also laying it out correctly so that the steps are concrete to execute. But that's why I love our community, guys. We have the best community, hands down. We get the fewest complaints, and we have the best conversations, and we help each other the most of any crypto community out there. So thank you so much, guys. You're truly, got me right in the feels, getting verklempt. You guys are truly a blessing in my life, and I truly feel fortunate to have you in my life. So when I say I love your face, just know, it comes from the heart. Appreciate you guys. Love your face. I will talk to you very soon.